Over the past decade, there has been a tectonic shift in consumer and business technology. Be it consumer-focused brands or brands chasing enterprise customers, technology today permeates across all major functions in any organization. At SoftwareSuggest, we bring to fore technologies that have shaped the way businesses function. Business Alphas is one such endeavor to provide a platform for business audiences to discover some of the most remarkable business success stories in the technology domain across the globe. Identified by NASSCOM as one of the top 10 companies in the emerged League of 50, MyOperator has gone on to become one of the largest cloud telephony brands in the country. Our guest for today is Ankit Jain, the founder and CEO of MyOperator. Being a passionate tech enthusiast, Ankit has many feathers to his cap. From being a key enabler for many businesses to offering cloud-based call management solution to Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat program, he's been there and done that. As we ask him about his journey so far and what keeps him going, let's also try to decipher how he managed to bootstrap his startup into a multi-million-dollar venture.
Ankit, welcome to the show. It's wonderful to have you.
Hey, Anup. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me here.
Many people think of entrepreneurship in India, and many of them actually reach the cusp of even starting up. And yet there are so few that actually take the leap of faith. When I hear your story, how did you, as a 21, 22-year-old graduate, just fresh out of college, dream and more importantly, found the courage of starting up your own venture? How did that happen?
So, this whole journey of entrepreneurship started, way back in college, 2007-8. Entrepreneurship wasn't a buzzword back then. And, we were, few friends who were very inclined towards this idea that, using technology, we might form a business. We may, create our own technology business someday. We were so much inclined towards it that we decided to, work for a startup for 1 year, so. And there where we learned about the fundamentals of running a business. Though 1 year is a small time, but that, working with a startup again gives you a lot of insight in terms of what it takes to start a business.
As you mentioned, right, you must have done a lot of due diligence. Like you mentioned that you actually, joined a startup and, worked there to understand the nitty-gritties, right? What were some of the things you actually assessed and, what was your experience on that?
Anup, this is going to be one of the most unpopular statement, but, if I would have been any smart, I would have not thought about starting my own venture. I was like foolishly courageous, and that's the reason I could have started. When I decided to start my own venture, the total sum of amount which I thought, I would ask from my father, and which I did, was just 2 lakh rupees. And, the whole idea was, with 2 lakh rupees, I'll buy some server space, we'll create a code and we'll just make it live, and then, the business is set up in the first place. Eventually you realize, it needs a lot of more capital, etc. But, there is another advantage of starting up with a very low setup. You do not have a lot of things to lose. And that kind of, kept the whole business floating in the initial years. We started focusing on generating revenues a lot. We started focusing on, how do we really build the values which customers can pay, etc. I practically didn't do a lot of due diligence around the, how much investment is needed. I just saw a problem which I thought I can solve it. I saw a need in the market that, this is something I can build. I really didn't have any idea like how much it takes, what capital, how big is the market size, etc. These are the terms, I learned over the course of journey. For me, initially, it was, one problem. I see it as an opportunity I wanted to solve. That is it.
In your mind, when you started out, what was the problem that you were really looking to solve?
When we started MyOperator, the initial company name or the name which we used to call it was VoiceTree, and it was a value-added service kind of a setup, which provides a value-added services to rural people. Again, we saw it as a problem. We started building that up, but it was just 6 months, we realized that's not going to work out. We had to, kind of wind up the initial business, and, I decided not to quit. I decided not to give up. Then we started doing few services for the customers, to sustain the business. I got into services. And then, when I was doing services for probably 1 year, again, we saw a need, which was a lot of customers were asking us as a service. And we felt, this is, something if a lot of businesses are asking, probably we can build it as a product. So, the fundamental problem that we kind of found out that businesses need was, in India, 80% of communication was happening over phone, but there was nothing to manage calls. Nothing as a simple piece of software which can help SMB manage calls. Call center used to have those technologies, have routing facility, etc. But you talk about a SMB which cannot afford that kind of system or cannot even get into integrities or technicalities of it. They didn't have anything of such. And we found this as a problem that, if we build something for this particular market, solving a call management need, this is a potential solution or a business that we can create into the market. And that's how we started.
So do you remember your first customer and how did it all start out?
You'll be amazed to know, the first customer on MyOperator as a platform was Aam Aadmi Party. So we already, by the time we realized that, that this is a problem with other businesses, and we started building a prototype. And the very same time, this Aam Aadmi Party was, forming a party and wanted to launch a helpline number.
Right.
So we were already in contact with few of the people through the India Against Corruption movement. So we kind of, made them the first customer to use it. So it was a call center which can be, executed from a remote locations. Do not need to be in one place or one call center kind of thing. So the whole experience of having, first few, and interestingly, before the MVP was launched, we had 15 paying customers.
Wow.
So this kind of gave us a boost that what we're building, what we're thinking is in a right direction. The 15 customer, when we were pitching, it wasn't like we went to 15 and we got 15. We probably, tried contacting at least, 300 or 400 customers and 15 paid. But, the 300 or 400 customers that gives us something which is even more valuable, the insights about the product, the market.
Correct.
We, developed what was something which is very important. We stick to, something which is very fundamental, something which can be immediately used or immediately needed as a painkiller by the customers. So those sort of customers, when they paid, they were like on top of us that this is what I want. Would you be able to deliver it? They were actually talking about what is the real pain point they want to be solved, and which kind of helped us shape up the MVP in the first place.
Awesome. So when you started, right, it always is important to have the right group of people around you, right, in your team. And one of the worst things is that not everyone is aligned to your vision, right? And you may want certain people to join you as the core founding team, but they may have different objectives in life. They may have different insecurities in life, right? So convincing them on regularity of business, cash flows, etc., is something which is very difficult. So how did you manage to do that?
So I'm very fond of taking this movie, which is Chak De India, as a team building guideline. I felt very early on, when we talk about team, it has to be a set of people which is ready to work together on a common vision. More than the having best skill set, we need a best teamwork to be done. And the initial set of people, this was the most important criteria. We were running out of an apartment. Apartment act like a filter for us. People who would be working on the idea, who would want to work on the idea and not, some fancy office or some, brand name to show off, but never ever joined MyOperator. The people who were like just, aligned towards the vision, they believed in this idea during the interview or during, after the interview or whatever. They were the people who joined MyOperator. And, this filter helped us get the people who were really, who believed in this whole idea of that, call management is really needed. And, a startup can do this. More interestingly, I got my co-founder. So, my brother, who just completed his, CA exams and he cleared his CA and he was in Kolkata back then. I already realized that I cannot do this thing alone and I need a co-founder. I contacted, my brother. I called him and said, like, this is what I'm planning now. This is a new idea which is, emerged, and I think there's a need. You want to be part of it? His only question was, it's a tech idea. How, what do I gonna do as a, CEO or as a, commerce guy? And I told him, I don't know, what really gonna be your role, but I think we're gonna do something together. And he just, listened to that and he came to Delhi. We started working on the ideas. We initially had in 2013, I remember we had 8 people team, and out of 8 people, 6 are still working with MyOperator. because they are more aligned to the whole vision, the whole idea that this can go big. This is something important.
Talking about challenges, is bootstrapping something which is very challenging, and any thoughts on you had on raising external funds, or why have you stayed away from it for thus far?
Entrepreneurship is challenging. Bootstrapping is just one another way of doing it. I'm sure every with fund, without fund is the same challenge. It's just with fund you generally end up throwing money at the problems, and while bootstrapping you throw up ideas at the problems. Challenges may be different, but I believe the challenges in every aspect of the entrepreneurship. We kind of never focused on raising fund because we were so busy with the business itself. We believed the business is anyway growing. We were seeing the growth. We were able to do things which we wanted. So didn't participate in the whole fundraise activity a lot. Again, as I say, this is a very different lifestyle. You may choose to raise fund. You may choose to focus on the core business and get bootstrap. For me, first time having this bootstrap experience actually, makes you more stronger, because it let you deal with a lot of problems without having a lot of cash flow or cash backup in the first place, which, kind of push you more into that entrepreneurship, culture and around that. So, this has been my journey, and I love the experience of bootstrap, and, not avid or pro, or against the whole fundraise part.
In your last 8-9 years, right, of your journey, what has been the most satisfying experience for you? If I may ask, any particular comment or testimonial from a client, that you remember or would like to share with us?
I was just checking it today morning. We have over 900 businesses who reviewed us on Google platform, and the overall score is 4.6. I was reading some of the reviews, and I was so happy about it. And then I was talking to the marketing team about it, and I said, look, we experiencing this already, that a lot of time when we interact with somebody, some business, and they say, oh, MyOperator, we are already using MyOperator. This is the most satisfying part.
What would your advice be to budding entrepreneurs, right? There's so many people who look up to you now.
Most important thing which I feel more than ever now is, you really have to love the idea or the problem that you're solving. You have to have that eagerness or the passion around the problem or the idea itself. It's not a 1 year or a 2-year journey. It's a decade, if not a lifetime journey. And if you can only focus for, decade, 2 decade, or maybe even longer, then only, jump on that idea. Often people, just pick up an idea because it's a market trend, or it's a, something which is buzzing up now. You'll end up, realizing that you do not love that problem so much. And if you do not, you'll kind of get bored or get misaligned very quickly. It's very important to have your belief, your passion around that whole problem set. You really want to solve that problem for everybody. Then only you'll be sticking to that particular problem or the idea for years to come.
The space that you are in, it's very exciting, right? And a lot of young entrepreneurs would be, in fact, willing to start out in some way or the other in the same space, or if not, the broader SaaS space, right? Because SaaS is very exciting.
Yep.
Not only from an entrepreneurial point of view, but also as an investor, right? Because it has its own MRRs, recurring revenues to go with, right? How do you think the competitive landscape is changing? Compared to the time you started out, and how is it changing right now?
So I'll talk from the Indian perspective, the Indian market perspective. When we started 2013, when we launched the MVP, there were different questions customer used to ask, because most of them were not aware about SaaS as a concept. They weren't aware about there can be something on cloud which they just need to pay month on month or year on year to do that. Over the years, this has changed beautifully, and thanks to the whole change which digitization COVID has brought in, this whole landscape has changed more faster than ever. At least Indian businesses have seen this, that digitization is something which they cannot just let go or cannot pass by. It's something they have to adopt. And this whole, digitization adoption in the SMB marketplace in India is changing the whole market for good. even if you see, there are competition in the, telephony space, or, SaaS is so broader as a space. We feel the overall market is so big that, it's more of a good if we see more competition, in the cloud telephony. And it's definitely better if we have more SaaS players focusing on India market. Because see, then only the whole ecosystem get built. But currently, India is lagging in terms of, the number of businesses who are adopting to, any SaaS product. As with time, this whole number increase, the entire ecosystem will be benefited. And, with this COVID, actually, we have seen acceleration like never ever before.
What are your plans for the future? Where do you go on from here? Is there any other startup that's in the pipeline, or any other projects that are coming up?
So I'm still very much keen towards the same idea. I'm still so much deep into the same idea. We're doing things, but around the same idea. So, we generally say there are two kind of growth we're looking at. Number one, which is the vertical growth, and the horizontal growth. By horizontal growth, I mean expanding into multiple geographies. So, we have already few hundred customers outside India. Especially this is like South Asian market, Middle Eastern market. And this is where we're going to focus more in the coming years. On the vertical aspect, we're building layers on top of the current MyOperator thing. So, current is a setup, we have few set of, type of usage that is defined on MyOperator. But we even further identify that for particular industries, different industries, there are even more, specific needs, which we have to cater differently. So it'll be like 80% same MyOperator, but then 20% for the specific industry. And that's what the, with us in plate is. Next 2-3 years, we'll focus on those specific industry to even get further. And number 3, in the vertical part, which is the AI, which is the, already happening next big thing. So, if you see, we generate TBs of data every day in terms of call details, recordings, etc. What we are sitting on is practically a gold mine. If we are able to extract data out of insights out of this, whole data that we're collecting, and, give it to customers, and, additionally charge on top of it, it can, really, really pay well. And what we have seen is, we have been able to, focus on the primary problem, which is the call management part. But once we have this power of AI, and, once we already doing, pilot in few cases, and, when we deliver that kind of AI driven value system to the customer, which include, the concept like a voice bot, which include, automated answering systems, etc. This can change the whole landscape. And this is something in play for next, couple of years, which I think, going to get adopted in the market. But, I'm still a guy which focus on more of a GTM strategy. So I'm more aligned to get more GTM strategy with MyOperator than running, any other startup for now.
Amazing, Ankit. It was wonderful talking to you, and I hope our listeners also, enjoy our conversation. And I wish you all the best for what's to come in store for you.
Thanks, Anup. Thanks for having me here.